So for the last few months, I've been acting as this weird scientist, figuring out how to use AI to write really good Facebook ads, to create ads that actually convert. And you know what? We figured it out. And I say we because it's not just me, it's me and a bunch of smart people. And you know, most things we tried, all the hacks, all the problems, like most stuff actually did not work at all. But there were some things that just blew everything else out of the water. And that's what I wanted to share with all of you today. So the thing is, I want to be open and transparent here. I'm not just sharing this for the sake of sharing. I do have a bit of an agenda here, because the reason why I figured all this out, the reason why I spent probably more time and more energy into figuring this out pretty much than anyone else, is because I'm starting this new business called Winning Ads. And my hope is that if I share the good stuff, share what's actually working right now today, that some of you might maybe in the future might want to say, hey, I want to become a customer. So that's my secret agenda, and I want to be transparent about that. Now, just in case we haven't met before, my name is Wilco the Kreij. I am from the Netherlands, as you can hear by my terrible accent. And you know, I've been around the block for a bit, right? I spent over $10 million of my own money on Facebook ads. I built and sold multiple $1 million companies. You know, had over tens of thousands of clients before. So I know a thing or two about Facebook ads, and I know a thing or two about AI because I've been living and breathing it for quite a while actually. So with that, I just want to dive in. So let's just go inside, and I'll see you there. Because here is what's been happening out there right now. I mean, Facebook advertising has become exponentially harder. Your winning ads used to work for weeks. Now they die in a matter of days, right? Costs have doubled in recent years, and the Facebook algorithm now demands volume. Like you need 20, 30, 50, or even 50 ads just to feed the machine. But here's the problem everyone's making. Most people think they're just using AI, but they're just really just using it as a slightly smarter Google search. Like they go to ChatGPT or Claude, which is actually better for copywriting, in case you don't know, and they say something like, write me a Facebook ad for my dog bed business. Actually, let me just do that right now. Write me an ad for my dog bed business. I don't know. Obviously, this is not going to work. Your dog bed shouldn't be a flat pancake, right? Obviously, this is boring, like generic, right? I mean, it could be for any dog bed business out there. Not that I'm familiar with the dog bed business. I don't even have a dog. But most people are smarter than that, right? They will actually provide more details. They would, for example, say something like, write an ad right? They add a little bit more context. They say like who the target audience is, and to make it catchy, they give it some instructions, which is probably slightly better, but still pretty generic, right? I mean, what most people may not understand is that the difference between good ads, just like what you're seeing right here, maybe it looks kind of okay, right? But they don't actually work. Or great ads, the ones that are actually winning, the ones that are actually producing a positive ROAS, it's not just about providing the AI more information. It's about giving it the right layers of information in the right order. When I was calling my network, like people spending millions per month profitably on ads, right? I asked them, like, how do you consistently create winning ads? How do you always have enough creative to keep the machine, working for your business, right? And what they told me was kind of fascinating. Like they don't just sit around brainstorming about what are we going to create. No, they have a systematic process. They look at what's already working for others and they adapt it. They have their own proven process for spinning out winning ads day in, day out, because they know what's going to work. And most importantly, they have a wicked process, right? They actually always have enough creative to test. Now, once I dove a little bit deeper, I realized like their wicked process has obviously way more steps and processes than I can just, do in this video, present you in this video. But I'm gonna cover a couple of key components that, most people, clearly miss, right? So the first component, and let me just write it down as well. I'll just C1, component 1, right? The first component is really truly understanding your target audience. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? Not just, demographics or whatever, but their exact pains, what they aspire to be, their emotional triggers, all that, right? You need to tell the AI exactly who you're targeting. What are they feeling? What are they doing on a daily basis? Why, what's the moment they start being interested in your particular product? When do they first recognize when they're, when they're in pain, or like when they need a solution, the one that you actually provide, right? And actually, I have a really cool prompt. I'll drop it in the comments or the description below to do audience research. Better than most people do on their own, right? So you can actually use ChatGPT or whatever to do this research for you. So I'll drop a link. There's no opt-in or anything like that. You can just use it. And let me just show you on camera how that would work. So I'm just going to copy paste this full prompt right? Paste it into ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using. And then you provide some information about your target audience or your business, right? So I'm just going to do the bare minimum right now because I'm in a quick video, right? Do this for the business, whatever, right? I'm just going to mention a business, right? So I'm just going to wait for a second. And here you go. Here's like a full research being done, which doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate. You still need to check that right now, right? If you're just doing it like this. But this is essentially, what kind of fears they have, and all kinds of things about the target audience, of this particular demo business I just picked out. And if you were to copy all this, right, into another chat and into another AI, use that and then ask it to write ads, you already start to see that it will do slightly better. So for example, write an ad for my dog bed business. Here is the target audience. Boom. Again, I haven't checked. I'm just pasting it, all that I just got from the other chat, and let's just see what it does. She's not a dog, she's family, and she deserves better. That's already more of an emotional connection, I would say. Still, like, I don't think this would work for other reasons because there's long sentences, but it might work. At the very least, it's slightly better. Again, I'll drop the prompt in the comments or the description below, yours to use. But really, that's just component number one. And there's actually many more. I'm going to go through a couple, but like component number two, right? C2, component number two is really knowing what's working right now on Facebook or Instagram for that matter, right? Not what worked last year, not, whatever, a couple months ago, what's working right now. And AI, they're usually trained on historic data, so they don't know, right? You need to tell them. And the pros don't guess either, right? They look at, for example, the Facebook ads library, they find ads that have been running for months or have been reaching, hundreds of thousands of people, and they adapt those proven structures. And just a quick tip, in case you are not familiar, like if you are searching ads on the ads library, this is obviously, again, super basic stuff, but just in case you're not sure, if you click through on an ad, right, you can actually, if they're running ads in Europe, I'm not sure if this one actually does it. Let me just check. This one does not. Let me just go for a different one. Let me search for an obvious Dutch advertiser because they'll obviously be running ads in Europe. If they are running ads in Europe, you can actually, if you go through and you click on see details, you can actually see transparency by location. You can actually not just see the fact that they're running this ad, you can actually see how many views they've had and like to what age rate. So you can actually know for a fact like how successful a certain ad has been because if there's a lot of views on it, obviously it's been working for them, and then you can use that as a source of inspiration for your next ad. Now, obviously, this is still quite basic, right? But let's just say, for those who don't know, if you are finding an ad that you're like, hey, actually, I like this ad, it seems to be working for someone else. What you can then do is just, go through it and just, for example, save the image or copy the image, right? And then copy the image, go back to ChatGPT, paste the image, and then just create an image ad similar to this one for my business. They say AI can work for 24/7. Well, that's because they probably need the time because it is slow. All right, but why AI is taking its time to create that simple image, which I already know is not going to be that great, but again, I'm just showing you here. So my point here is that you'll want to use different layers, right? So I sort of like went through some basic stuff, right? You want to have the target audience, right? You can have in what's working for Facebook ads right now, right? So looking at the ads library, for example, right? But there's actually more to it, right? So ideally, you want to use, like, for example, more information about your business. You want to make sure that AI knows about all the context. You want to know about your social proof, for example, that you have. You want to make sure that it knows the competitors, like what kind of ads are they running, what's working for them, right? For your competitors. But also things like, what is compliant? Like, is it actually compliant? You want to automatically make sure that AI, because if you just ask AI to write ads, it's not, even if you ask it to write compliant ads, it's not going to be compliant. I'll get back to that in a second. But also just stuff like, what if something is going trending right now on TikTok? Like, that's the kind of information that if someone is to manually create ads, they're going to take that into account. Like, there's so many things, like again, I'm not able to go through the whole process, but it's about adding all these things in and then tying it back into the AI. Some of that cannot be done using the web-based version. You need the API for that. But once you start to tap in more information, like and different kind of hooks, different kind of things that are currently trending, that's when you can start to spit out like really good winning ads. And that also brings me to the third, I'm just gonna say component. This sketch doesn't make that much sense, but bear with me, right? Because the third component is more like automation, right? This is where most people fall short. And all of this, like if you do it well, like those basic stuff, you can copy paste, right? But if you take all of these things into account, you cannot go through it without automation. It's not enough to just do audience research and know what's working. You need to systematically apply all this information to create multiple winning variations, within minutes, right? Again, many sub-steps in this process, creating the ads, testing them, iterating on winners, all of which, can be automated. For example, like I said, you wanna make sure that every ad is compliant with Facebook rules, right? Well, if you tell AI to write compliant ads, it won't, right? Shocker, right? But you obviously can use AI to check whether an ad is compliant. In fact, again, I'll give you another prompt in the same descriptions that you see down below, which you can actually use to check whether your ad is actually compliant. And for that one, make sure you use a smarter model like O3 rather than 4.0. So that, let me just show you actually. Let me just grab the prompt right here. It's a long one, as you can see, right? I'm gonna copy it all the way over here. I'm gonna paste it. Choose O3, and I'm just going to go back to the ad that was just created. I'm not saying this is a great ad, but I'm just going to check, hey, is this actually compliant? I'm going to add it in right here in the ad text and do its thing. And while I was recording, finally it actually created the ad image as well, as you can see, which, to be honest, I wouldn't run as a Facebook ad. Again, this is still the basic stuff. We want to add in more details, we want to add more steps, which I'm going to show you in the next video. Then I actually show you how to bring all this together, how to automate this in a way that you will be able to create winning ads without having to do all these things, copy pasting every single time. And by now the compliance checker is done as well. It does say that it's compliant. It does give some suggestions, like for example, the copy speaks to your dog, right? You don't want to talk too much about personal attributes, but it should be all right to run. Anyway, that's just a quick side note. It's in the comments down below. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, right? Okay, Wilco, this sounds all great in theory, or maybe it's too vague in theory, but how do I actually do this? How do I actually, make sure that when I create an ad using AI, it will automatically take into account all these things and more, right? And it will just create ads that actually work. And here's the honest truth about that. Like each of these components, they actually have multiple levels of sophistication as well, right? I mean, understanding your audience, you could just do the basic one that I just shared, or you can just go even deeper, making sure you have all these different target audiences. And also, like, are you targeting cold audiences? Are you targeting warm audiences? Like, you can go as advanced as you want, right? Plus, some of the things that you want to add into the mix, you actually cannot do using the standard web-based version of ChatGPT or Claude. You actually have to use their API as well. So what I've shown you today is really just like a simplistic version, simplistic framework, essentially, the foundation, right? But implementing it properly, that's where it gets really powerful. So here's what I'm going to do. In my next video, I'm going to pull back behind the curtain, walk through real examples. You'll see over my shoulders how I engineer winning ads that actually work. And yes, that's also going to be part of my agenda. I'm going to show you also what we've been building over the last few months, but you're going to get insane value regardless. So for now, if you found this valuable, drop a comment below. Tell me what business you're in, because I might use your business as the example in my next video. I mean, the game has changed, so stop gambling with your ad budget and start engineering winners. I'm looking forward to see you in the next video.